it really doesn't matter how you do it, but you really need to have it. So if we're not there on hydro yet, we're like learning that new system. We're putting in our moisture points, but we don't yet know how to do this sketch and then enter our moisture points in, map where they are. Make sure that you just have some sort of visual representation. So within the S500, it defines it as documentation that visually indicates the extent of water migration. That's what it is, right? So you can immediately see affected areas. And then it does also require, in the portion about performing the initial moisture inspection, that the moisture migration should be documented at a minimum with a moisture map. So a lot of times this moisture map is kind of, become outdated because we have other technologies that are documenting this information for us. But we want to make sure that we have somewhere that this has been documented. If you get an adjuster that's like, well, I don't know, I need to see a moisture map. Can we produce something that just represents where the water is, in the structure? And it, again, it seems like an outdated one, but we still have to have some sort of product that is indicating the migration of the water within the structure. A lot of times we'll have a visual representation of where our moisture points are. And so tape can be used, other things can be used. But do you have a visual demarcation or marcation? I guess it's a marcation, a digital marcation of a visual marcation of where your moisture points are. So when the person comes in the following day, let's say that you have a moisture point of drywall in bedroom 1, right, that's affected. So we have drywall reading for that affected material in the bedroom. The next day, either you come in or somebody else comes in. Are you trying to locate where that initial moisture point was, or it doesn't matter? You're just taking a drywall reading that is affected. And then that's the way that we're doing it. If you're not using hydro, that type of thing, some people will number their moisture points. And then with each moisture point, they're going to, have a labeling system, date, time, moisture content, and they might have a system like this. Like if it went from the floor up and we're wet here, they're going to take a moisture reading here, and then the next day here, and then the next day here, and the next day here, as that material starts to dry, so that they're getting kind of the edge of migration on that material, and it's going to move. So a lot of times within that moisture point, you can go up to 3 feet and then out 3 feet, right? And it's considered that same moisture point. And so you're just going to want to have a very, kind of strategic way in which you're doing your moisture points, so that you are getting readings that don't just tell you the moisture content of that material, that tell you whether or not the edge of that migration, that area of water, is getting smaller, as it should as you start to dry things out. And if less surface area of that material is wet, right, that's going to tell you that it's starting to dry from the edge in, which is how it should dry. So some sort of system here. So if that means that we're putting it in our job notes, we're making extra notes, or we have a digital system like hydro that we're using, that all of our points are marked in there, it tells us the material that was measured, then we're in good shape. All right, good. Okay, so that's it. I mean, moisture mapping and taking your moisture readings is not brain science. Just wanted to make sure we understand that there is a requirement of it in the standard. That a lot of times if adjusters want to fight you on things, they are going to say, well, where is your moisture map? So let's just make sure that we have something that visually indicates where the edge of migration went within that structure. And then we should have something that is telling us where those moisture readings were taken. And the information that you have to have on those moisture readings is date, time, moisture content. And then additional to this, it should be what the material is and what meter you used. Okay, so date, time, moisture content, that of material, what the material was, and what meter you used. All right, that's the information that's required from the S500 for those moisture points. All right, and the moisture points is really the information and our moisture map, which indicates the edge of migration, what materials the water has ran through, is really the information that gives us the reasoning for putting together a drying plan and placing our equipment.